Every strategic business decision you ever make depends on one thing, and that is the combined total experience that you have as a person in business and in life. If Jeff Bezos parachuted in to run your business for a year, he would probably get very different results than you or I would, and that's because of all the experience that he has in his business. He has a bigger frame of reference. So if you want to grow and you want to make better and bigger strategic decisions, how do you do it if you don't have the experience yet? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about exactly how. In case you don't know me, my name is Olly Richards. I'm the founder of StoryLearning.com, a multi-billion-dollar online education business. I'm also a mentor and advisor to other online education businesses. And this story begins all the way back in 2017, 2018, when I was at a kind of a crossroads in my business, Story Learning, and I was trying to decide what to do next. So we had just crossed the 1 million mark or so in revenue, that kind of range. Things were going objectively quite well, but I hadn't really thought about what happens next, because I'd just been going through the motions for the last few years, just doing more content, more courses, making a bit more money, all of that. I didn't really have a strategic view of what I would actually do to grow the business. And around that time, I started working with one of my very first business coaches, who asked me these difficult questions. He said, Ollie, what do you want? What do you want to do? You want to grow the business? I said, yeah, of course. How much? Well, I don't know, 7 figures. Why not 8 figures? And we often say these things to ourselves, picking arbitrary growth numbers because they sound quite cool without really any kind of understanding of what those numbers mean, how to get there, what's involved in getting there, what you might have to sacrifice. But when we started talking about these numbers, he would then ask me the question, okay, well, how would you get there? If you want to get to 8 figures, what would the business do? What would it look like? And then the key question, who would you need? And often with business strategy, instead of asking, what should we do, which is the question that everyone asks, instead, it's often better to ask, who do we need? Who's going to solve this problem for us? Dan Sullivan talks a lot about the who, not what. And this was the question that I started to get asked by my coach. And he framed this in a very, very interesting way, which is the following question. Ollie, what would the 8-figure version of your business look like? You want to grow, you want to scale. All right, then let's imagine you succeed. What does the business then look like? What does that 8-figure version of your business look like? And I said, I have absolutely no idea. And so he showed me the org chart, which is a concept I was familiar with already from the one serious job that I ever had and what the company structure looked like. But I didn't really understand what an org chart really meant for an entrepreneur and the org chart as a growth tool. And he showed me that an org chart comes in 3 different parts. You've got finance, operations, and marketing. And he said, okay, well, which of these is going to have to change if you want to get to an 8-figure business? So I looked at it and I thought, well, finance, I don't really see what's so complicated about that. That would soon change, but that's what I said at the time. Product and operations, that's kind of our strong point. That's how we make money right now. But marketing, now that would have to change. Marketing would need to be totally different because we would need to get a lot more customers in order to become an 8-figure business. So then he asked, well, how would you do it? And I said, again, I have no idea. So then we asked, well, who would you need? So onto the right-hand side of the org chart, we started to map these different roles that we would need in order to grow the marketing team. So who would it be? Well, we'd need a copywriter, we'd need designer, we'd need some kind of funnel building, email management type thing. And then we would need someone to oversee and manage all these people, which would become the kind of CMO role, Chief Marketing Officer. And so slowly but surely, I started to develop the habit of asking this question and thinking beyond the limits of what I already knew. And the cool thing about this tool is that even if you don't know who you need, and I didn't know who I needed at the time, you can then go and solve that particular problem. So go and find businesses like yours who are out there and who are larger than you. Go onto their website, look at the about page or the people page, look and see if they've got an organizational chart. What roles do they actually have? So I remember going to Michael Hyatt's page and he had this whole section on people and all of the different roles listed out. This gave me a big clue as to the kind of roles and the kind of people that the larger version, the scaled up version of Story Learning would actually need in order to get there. And once you know what this looks like, you don't even have to execute on that exactly. So for us, for example, at Story Learning, we still don't have a CMO role, and that's very intentional and probably a topic for another day. But the point about this activity is that it gets you thinking, it gets you aware of what things look like on the other side. It's a little bit like your first day at a new school or your first day at university. You get there, you're kind of used to being one of the smarter kids in your previous school, a big fish in a small pond. But on your first day, you look around and you realize, man, There's a lot of people here who are a lot smarter than me. And these people who are in year 2 or year 3 or year 4, they are really a lot smarter than me. And you can choose how you react to it. You can let your ego take over and you can kind of retreat and not engage with them and just keep pretending that you're really good. Or you can actually embrace all these other people, embrace the new information, lean into it, and just trust that the more you lean into it, the more a pathway will become illuminated and you can start to take that pathway over a period of time. And that's exactly what this exercise does. So my challenge for you would be to grab a piece of paper, go and sit somewhere quiet for an hour and ask yourself the question, what does the 8-figure version of my business look like? And map it out. Have some fun with the org chart, write in some roles, move them around, start thinking about exactly what that would be. And then go off and look at other companies in your space that are bigger than yours. Look at their people page. What roles are there? What are their job titles? And in this whole process, if you run into a brick wall and you identify a knowledge gap of some kind, then work on that knowledge gap. Go and speak to people who will know, people who have owned such companies. Ask them, who do I need to keep growing, and work on that specific gap. Asking these questions really is the beginning of starting to change and starting to become the person who is capable of scaling your business. But of course, when you do scale, one of the things you've got to make sure is that you don't become the bottleneck, which is something that I did and learned a very hard lesson about. If you get it right, remove yourself and systematize your business, then you can scale without yourself being the bottleneck. And in this video right over here, I recorded an entire lecture on exactly how to do that. So go and check that out. I think you'll find it very useful indeed.